Adrian,
Hi,
nice
Hannah.
to
You
see
okay?
you. Yeah, good.
We finally made it.
I know.
Just
We're
listened
here.
to about 6 or 7 weeks in the planning.
I know. And you're only down the road as well
I know.
from
It
us.
just goes to show how busy we both are, doesn't it,
It
really?
does. It does
So,
indeed. Do you want to introduce yourself for anybody who doesn't know
yeah,
who
sure.
you
I'm
are and what you do?
Adrian Standerwick from Active CCTV. And we look after the CCTV for a number of the self-storage sites in and around the UK.
Good. And for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Anna Roberts. I'm the founder of explorage.com, the UK's fastest growing marketplace for self-storage. So, yeah, it's nice to see you in
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Made sense to do it in person, given.
Well, yeah, like I say, we're 20 minutes down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But it's just, I know you've been busy, obviously, down in London and, well, all over the place.
yeah, and
And then
likewise.
we've been the same. So it's like trying to, like two worlds collide, really. But like you say, we finally made it.
We made it.
And then 2 weeks just before this time, 2 weeks' time, we'll be at the SSA and
Yeah.
probably slightly worse for wear, I expect, if last year's anything to go by.
Surprising how rowdy these things can get, isn't it?
Yeah, well, self-storage operators,
So, yeah, today I just thought it'd be good for us to have a good chat, get into the nitty gritty about what it is you do, what advice you'd give to storage operators, existing storage operators and new storage operators,
Yeah.
and yeah, hopefully provide some handy advice for anybody watching or listening.
Yeah.
So we know that most storage operators invest in some form of security as a bare minimum.
Yeah.
So why is that? Do you want to elaborate on that?
I think one of the things you've got to bear in mind is you're, as a self-storage operator, you're being entrusted with what could be somebody's ancestors' belongings. It could be something of great importance. It could be something that's not really perhaps that expensive, but has that kind of value as being part of what the family is. Or you could be just moving from one house to another and need that space, or whatever the space is for. But those belongings, if somebody cares enough about those belongings to put them into self-storage, then the least you can do as an operator is provide the security for those belongings. At the end of the day, they're trusting you to look after and be responsible for their goods.
Yeah.
So if you neglect the security on your site, whether that be with a barrier, whether that be with access control, whether that would be with a security alarm, or whether it be with CCTV, that has to have importance, because yourself, the best and worst form of marketing is word of mouth.
Yeah.
So if your self-storage site gets broken into and your clients or your customers' goods are taken and stolen, well, word's going to go round pretty sharpish, the fact that you're not to be trusted. And yourself with businesses, it's built on trust.
Yeah.
And if you lose that trust, especially where a lot of the storage operators are single store operators in a specific area, so they've tried to create an impression and build that kind of reputation in that area as the go-to self-store operator. If they have that break-in, then so the amount of lost business when weighed against what the cost is to put security on their premises, it is massively outweighed.
Yeah.
And it could potentially cost them their business.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's the reputational, the risk, as well as just the operational disruptance and everything else. I mean, that aside, you can put all that right, but the reputational side of things you can't.
No.
And I think that's the other thing. Like with self-storage, that's like the bare minimum, isn't it? That you're going to keep things secure.
Yeah.
And secure from the elements, but is secure from intruders, secure from fire. You're going to protect somebody's things when they're not there, which is different to, for example, booking a hotel room or you know, renting some other kind of space potentially where the person using that space is going to be there with their things or whatever. Like in this case, they're not, are they? They're just they're leaving them with you, potentially months at a time without ever visiting them,
some it could be years at a time. I just thought I haven't switched my phone off and I don't want that going off, so we'll do that.
Well, I'm only holding mine, so I've got my questions, my prompts.
I'll turn the volume off now. I think I should have done that before.
So, and then in terms of like the broad spectrum of security provisions that you could take, what's your specialism then?
Right.
As Active CCTV.
It's something that we've consciously decided to do.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to be a jack of all, where we do alarms and we do fire and we do access and we do barriers and everything else, we just specialise in CCTV.
The clue's in the name, obviously.
Yeah, it does what it says on the tin. And the reason why I've done that is because when my engineers turn up at site, they're proficient in what they do. So if you're doing an alarm one week and fire the next, and then access control and what have you, then you're not building that consistency. Plus also, the other thing is with CCTV, it's constantly improving, it's constantly moving. There's new products coming out. For instance, within the last 7 or 8 weeks, unfortunately, for some of the companies that we've already done work for, where we've put up what was considered to be the best camera at that time, that's now been superseded because there's a new, and for self-storage operators, it's amazing because it's got a built-in white light. So it has the infrared. Yeah. But so at night time, for sake of argument, somebody gets into your premises. Yeah. It comes up on your phone. Yeah. Or goes through to the monitoring station. And when they look at that picture, obviously it's in black and white. Right. With the infrared.
At night time.
At night time.
In the daytime.
In daytime, full colour.
Right. Okay,
yeah. But at night time, infrared, so it's black and white.
Yeah.
So when you see that picture on the screen, the only way you can describe it is a guy with a lightish grey jacket with dark grey or black trousers with a, because it's black and white.
Yeah.
But with the new camera that's come out, it's got a built-in, like I say, this built-in white light which illuminates the area. So you can now actually see that the guy's actually wearing a yellow jacket with, for sake of argument, red trousers.
Yeah.
So from an identification point of view, invariably when they're on site, the masks or hoods or whatever, and then they leave site, but obviously police have access to street cameras, other cameras. So if it's quite a serious theft,
yeah,
and you're then able, or if it's being monitored. So for sake of argument, the site's monitored, the monitoring station pick up on it, can see, give the issue the warning, the 2 lads or 3 lads, whatever, leg it. Now, with the infrared, all the police can see is the dark grey, light grey combination. But if the monitoring station now can see the guys in the yellow jacket, as the police are coming to respond, they see a guy walking down the road in a yellow jacket.
Yeah, they're tracking them.
Yeah, they know who it is.
Yeah.
They've got it.
Yeah. And that white light then, is that effectively like a flash that's always on?
At your home. Yeah, at home where you've got the PIR lights that come on that come on when you walk past.
Yeah.
And then you've got that kind of bright light, haven't you, from it? Yeah, that's what's built into the camera.
So it's a deterrent in itself as well, really, because they know they've been spotted.
Yeah.
Okay.
But having that full colour image, now they're a little bit more expensive. But the difference, we will still install, if somebody's working to a tight budget and they have to keep costs down, fair enough. We can come up with a solution for them. Hence the reason why specialise in CCTV, we can give options and know the options available because from our experience of where we've installed them.
Yeah.
But where somebody, is prepared to just spend a little bit more, then these cameras are absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And they're going to continue to evolve and improve, aren't they? Quite rapidly. The technology exists. I suppose it's just a case at what point it starts to come to market and what point does the price point of them become feasible and all of that. And it makes sense to like as you say, specialise in that, because there are those variants available, aren't there? And it is always evolving. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like when we set the business up 24 years ago, people were still changing tapes every morning. And you know, that's how it's evolved over those years.
Recording over Coronation Street from the night before.
Pretty much. That's how it was, you know. And so we've seen massive difference. I mean, you know, that you've got the new AI technology, so you know, you can draw notification zones. So the minute somebody goes into that area, again, it sets off the alarm notification to either your phone or to the monitoring station. So the way it's evolved now, whilst, yes, its primary function is security, the other great thing as well is from a health and safety point of view, or from a management control. So say for sake of argument, you want to know how many people have come through your site that day. So you say for the sake of argument, you've got 3 or 4 or 5 different storage sites. And you decided, right, well, that one's making me that much money, that one's making me that much money, but how many people are actually using the storage site? What's the traffic like through our premises? And with the AI on these cameras, you can now track that. So from a marketing point of view, you can then use that information to say, right, okay, well, for sake of argument around here, well, Abergele isn't anywhere near as what Bangor is.
Yeah.
So why is that? So does that mean we need to market more in the Abergele area to get more people to come to the store? You know, what is the difference?
Yeah.
So you've got that from a marketing
It's that knowledge is power thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, if you've got that data.
Yeah.
You know,
but also health and safety. Yeah. You know, if somebody drives into your container yard or is on your premises and something falls on them, or something falls out of the container and lands on their foot or whatever, then again you've got the evidence to turn around and say, well, actually that was your fault, that had nothing to do with us. So you know, again, it kind of protects, like for instance in some of the internal storage sites where you've got the trolleys. Now, you know, say for sake of argument, that trolley, they ram that trolley into on purpose, but it knocks into one of the container walls, puts a dent or a lump on it. Well, a lot of the time in the past, you wouldn't have been able to know that the damage is being done. Now, you think, well, hang on a minute. I went past there at 12 o'clock and I know for a fact there was no damage on it then. Go back to the footage, go through it. There it was. Mr. Jones from container number 65.
Third time he's done it this month.
So, Mr. Jones, listen, you're wrecking my joint. Can you move out, please? And you owe me this. And you know, so you've got all the other benefits, like it's a bit like a bog off. You've got buy one, except you get probably about 3 free with this.
Other benefits. Okay, so one of the things, and you did touch on it briefly there, was the monitoring company as well. And I think one of the things when I came into the industry that I didn't fully appreciate was the difference between CCTV and monitoring. And because quite often they're sort of discussed interchangeably and at the same time, but actually they're quite distinct services that sort of complement each other. So do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, it was quite, and again shows the power of LinkedIn. It was during COVID in 2020 where I was spending quite a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I connected with a guy called Ant Hebblethwaite. The infamous Ant Hebblethwaite, LinkedIn connoisseur, LinkedIn guru, whatever you want to call him.
April Fool's genius.
Yes, that was good, that one. And me and Ant got chatting, and at the time we didn't really do any monitored sites because we weren't that involved with the self-storage industry.
And just clarify what you mean by monitoring. What's the definition of
monitoring?
Right,
okay, so basically what it is it's a company that will look after the camera. So you say, for sake of argument, you're at your premises until 7 o'clock at night and you're back there at 7 o'clock in the morning. Then those 12 hours you're away from your site, nobody's there. Nobody's looking after it. Nobody's watching it. You have no idea if, you know, who's coming and going. What you're able to do with the cameras that we're installing, so we do the install, and then Ant and DSOC do the monitoring. So we set it up and we schedule the system, and we alarm the areas that need to be alarmed
Yeah.
to send notifications straight through. So the minute somebody goes into that area when they shouldn't be,
Yeah.
either after hours, after the premises is closed, that sends an alarm to the monitoring station. The operator at the monitoring station then takes a look at their screen, assesses what's going on. If they then identify that it's people that shouldn't be there, the great thing is that in most cases we'll install a tannoy system. So from the monitoring station, they're able to speak into a microphone, which then comes out through the tannoys to warn the people that have entered the premises basically to leave pretty sharpish.
We know you're there, yeah. I've always wanted to be a fly on the wall.
Oh, do you know what? It's one of the funniest things I ever saw is where a guy literally pushing a wheelbarrow around the site, picking stuff up as he's going round. And the operator issues the warning and he kind of drops the wheelbarrow and it's like, as if it's God speaking to him. And it's like, he just drops the wheelbarrow and it had to have been at least a 10-foot fence with barbed wire on it. He's legged that literally within 5 seconds. And he's off scarpering down the road. But it was just that effect. That effect.
You're being watched. So in a nutshell, you guys are the equipment to facilitate somebody in a monitoring station watching. You're the equipment, they're the watchers, and the sort of
we're the doers, they're the watchers.
Yeah, the watchers, they're the person, and they're not the voice. Though the voice goes from the operator, does it?
The voice goes from DSOC.
From the monitoring.
From the monitoring, yeah.
Okay.
So they can. But the other good funny thing is we'll obviously upload the app onto your phone as well, independent of the monitoring station.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, if say for instance you had a self-storage site and either your mum or your dad or your brother, happened to be on site that day, and you wanted to give them a quick, so you can watch them go past, go, oi, off your phone because you've got the little speaker thing on your phone.
Can I install monitoring on a farm, please?
Could do. Yes, that'd be fine. No problem at all. Keep your husband in check then, your partner in check then.
Yeah, he... oh my word, I wouldn't even want to go there. He would just be like, he's bad enough as it is. Like, I don't know a farmer who isn't like a meerkat the minute somebody drives onto the land. And yeah, he would just be awful if he had an app. He wouldn't relax.
This is actually a busy time, obviously with regards to CCTV, because a lot of farmers have them for the lambing. So in the lambing sheds.
Yeah,
so,
of course, yeah.
And with that will fit a PTZ, pan tilt and zoom camera. So you can actually zoom right in to the pens, so you can actually see the.
I think I saw an episode of Clarkson's Farm where they were experimenting with them actually.
Yeah.
Funny. So sorry, you started that answer introducing ants from DSOC. So do you want to just elaborate on who they are?
So we just clicked. Ant's the type of guy who you just warm to anyway. And don't worry, mate, I'm not blowing smoke up your arse, I promise. But between the two of us, it was like, well, this makes sense. They were just getting more and more involved with the self-storage side of things.
Yeah. And
I think at that time, he'd just gone back to DSOC, or he just joined DSOC. I think it was 2021 when he went back there. And we then kind of stumbled across each other again at Squab. And independently, Squab had called us in to give them an idea on cost from our website,
right,
which happens to be www.active-cctv.co.uk.
Nicely plugged.
Oh, yeah, get in. And it turned up to do the monitoring. Again, there would be, it was totally independent. Yeah. And from there, again, we worked so well on that job.
Right, yeah.
It was like it just made sense that we should work more together. Now, obviously, Ant works with other installers and across the board on fire and security, alarms and access control, not just CCTV.
Yeah.
But where we can, we'll always recommend them. Like I say, we work really well together. Yeah. And the guys, Matt Wiley, in the actual monitoring centre, he's great to work with doing the setups. So it's been a successful partnership, and the good thing is I put people Ant's way, Ant puts people my way. So it's a great way of reciprocal business being done between us. Yeah. And even though we're totally independent companies, we still work very closely and very well together.
I imagine though as well for the customer in that situation, at least then they know they're working with a team who know how each other work. So there's sort of less opportunity for that. Oh, you know, this is like that interface then, that little sort of breakdown of interface of things falling between the cracks in terms of between the installation and the monitoring, or like you have in any kind of project where you've got, you know, different trades or professions coming in. There's always that sort of careful interface on the communication between the two things, isn't
simple.
there? And it is just that, isn't it? It's that if you've worked together, you know how each other work. It's just going to make it more efficient, isn't it?
I think it's probably about 8 to 10 sites in the last 12 months that we've kind of combined on. And we've got, funny enough, we're onboarding another one for him tomorrow down in Northampton.
A dream team. Okay, and then in the just the CCTV space, then what would you say is Active CCTV's USP, so your unique selling point?
I think with the knowledge we've gained over the last, I mean, for instance, I won't say what site it was, but we went to a site recently where 2 other CCTV companies had been in previously.
Right.
And the standard of their work, it was shocking. Well, it would have been shocking as well because there was a 240-volt supply stuck on a container roof, that not even in a proper waterproof box. So that would have been shocking. And for us, the fact that we're able, because of what we've learned of how we're working with other self-storage operators, whether that be internal self-storage or whether that be container storage, we're able to not just help and advise with the CCTV, but we can recommend other suppliers for, like for instance, the internal fit out, for the mez floorings, for the palisade fencing, for the containers, you know. So what we've tried to do is not just provide them with the CCTV and provide them with the correct CCTV that will do the job they want it to do at a budget, within the budget they want, well, not necessarily want to spend, but have put to one side for it. The other thing that off the back of that as well, there are 2 different, if you like, types of camera. You've got IP camera, which is it's got all singing, it's internet protocol.
Oh right, okay.
So basically,
where did I get waterproof?
I don't know, but they all are all waterproof anyway.
Okay.
So you're all right. But
hope so.
those are the brains of the bunch. Those have got the notifications. Those are the ones that send the alarm notifications, and they're great for outside. Inside, however, they don't need to be necessarily all singing or dancing. All you really want to be able to see is a good picture,
right?
A high quality 4K picture that covers the, if you like, the aisles and the floors and the lifts and the stairs. So what we're able to do there, a lot of companies won't do it. It's either all IP or nothing at all.
Right.
So what we do is we do a combination. So outside IP, inside in mostly HD. So it saves our clients money. So if you say what's our USP, well, 1, we're bloody good at what we do. 2, we only specialise in CCTV. 3, we're always conscious of people's budget. And if we can save them money, and there's not many companies that I know out there that actively look, see another play on the word there, actively look to
always on
to save somebody money.
And
if I can say, and it's the same when you've got a self-storage operator, it's their first site, they're just starting out, expenses gone through the roof, they've had to sit around and wait for 6 months for the planning office to get off their arse and do something. They're now obviously putting containers on the site, there's all the other expense, having to put the hardcore down and all that kind of stuff. And rather than saying, oh yeah, you need 15 cameras because at some point over the next 16 years you're going to have 400 containers on this site. It's like, well, look, you're starting off with 30 containers. Let's just protect them. Let's put a system in for you. Let's put a couple of cameras, but we'll grow with you. I'm not looking at it for a short-term gain. We're looking at it to build that business relationship over many years. And to as we've done with Squab, I know I've brought them up before, but to be involved with that company and see how they've grown over the last 3 years is brilliant for us as their supplier, because we've seen where, you know, where they've taken it, and that gives me, you know, as a business owner myself, to see other business owners, their dreams come into reality, and then that reality just, and watching them grow and start one site and then look, oh, hang on a minute, we're going to set up another site. Adrian, can you come in and say yes? And it's building that relationship.
Yeah.
So from a, if you like, a USP is that we work alongside people. If we can save the money, we'll save the money. We'll put the right kit in first time round and build that long-term relationship where they know they can pick up a phone and say, hey, look, I've got a camera off, or, because nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah.
As a lot of people will tell you, I'm not.
You're kidding.
No, I know. Can you believe it? But they'll ring and it's like, yeah, okay, not a problem, mate. We'll get it sorted for you. Or invariably, you know, we'll get tech to speak to you and they'll talk you through what you need to do.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, what it's all about, being reliable, being trustworthy, and being able to offer people, you're not just another, you know, few quid in the bank account.
It's all that value, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole thing is a value proposition.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a family business as well. You appreciate, you know, you take things personally.
Yeah.
So if somebody phones you up and says, look, my camera's off, I take that, I want it right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, right, okay, leave it with me. I'll get it sorted as soon as we can.
Yeah.
Rather than perhaps the big companies where they don't, you know, it's the weekend. So what are you doing ringing me on a Saturday, mate? Ring me. You know, I can't take this call. Email me your problem and I'll speak to you on Monday. And that for me is not where I want to be.
No, it's a very different business model, that, isn't it? So, okay. So existing storage operators then, how do they know when it's time to upgrade their kit, and how do they do it?
Right, dead simple.
Yeah.
It's you know, it is the easiest way to know whether your kit is okay or not is if you've got a zoom facility on a camera, zoom into an image to try and see it. And if it pixelates and it's a really blurred image, then your cameras are probably more than 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
They're probably only going to be 1 meg or 2 megapixel cameras.
Right.
And they will not be able to provide you with the quality of image that the newer 8 megapixel cameras can.
Okay.
So I'd say if for instance, if you still had an iPhone 10,
yeah,
and you put it against an iPhone, what's the latest one, 15 now?
I honestly don't know. I think I'm on 14.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But put the two side by side and then take a picture with each one and then look at the difference of the resolution. And that's pretty much what you're going to be
So pretty
getting.
much if you can make out the person's face or not.
When you zoom in. Not necessarily in the normal picture, because it might look okay.
Yeah.
But the minute you want to identify somebody or look deeper into a picture,
okay,
that's when you know.
So that's how they know when it's time to upgrade. And then what's the best way for them to go about it?
Dead easy. Just pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Give me a call. And then what I can do then is normally in most cases, unless it's, Timbuktu or somewhere, then I'll pop along and have a look.
Okay.
And again, what we'll do is we'll look at the primary cameras. So if, for sake of argument, there's, sorry Squab, but going back, when we went there were probably 40 cameras on that site around the perimeter. But it only needed 14 changing.
Okay.
To cover that premises properly.
Yeah.
So that every access road was covered, that the gates were covered, so that anybody getting in there would be picked up. But it didn't need them all doing.
Yeah.
So again, if there's certain areas where the picture they've got is more than adequate,
yeah,
leave it. Don't save your money. But if there's specific areas, especially if they're thinking of going down the remote monitoring point of view, because DSOC do have a criteria of quality of camera.
Yeah.
And if it's not good enough, then they can't do their job.
Okay.
So from that perspective, we'll then look at, say, right,
the specification they're going to need and an upgrade.
And this will cover that area for you.
And would you be able to reuse the wiring that's in place? Is it just a case of changing the camera?
Not always. We'll check the cable. We've got testers that you can put on the cable that will identify if there are any breaks in the cable, if what not frequency, the level of, if you like, the level of quality.
Okay.
Had a bit of a brain fart there. The level of quality you've got going through, the signal quality you've got going through that cable.
So it needs that survey to ascertain like how far that.
Well, that would be
upgrade
actually
needs to
done. That would be done on point of install, because what we tend to do as well, in most cases, is we'll run in our own cable.
Okay, so you'd possibly leave the old cable.
We take the old cable out.
You would take it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
mean,
not
I
every
suppose
time.
In a lot of self-storage sites, that cabling is sort of surface mounted, or in trunking that's surface mounted anyway. It's not necessarily.
Unfortunately, in most cases on a
really?
self-storage site, it's flung across the top of the
Oh
containers.
right, sorry, I thought you were going to say it's concealed then.
No, it's flung across the top of the containers in no containment, no protection for the cable whatsoever.
Right.
And yeah, it's not great. And that's not, you know.
That's not how you do it.
No.
Okay. And then new storage businesses. So somebody setting up a new self-storage site. I can think of one off the top of my head that we've both worked on recently. Yeah. What advice would you give to them regarding CCTV?
Yeah, you've got to do it within budget. So again, coming back to, let's just concentrate on what to get you going.
Yeah.
I would always recommend going with the monitoring.
Yeah.
It's not massively expensive. And I'd always recommend going with a tannoy system.
Yeah.
Because the minute somebody knows they're being watched, they're going to get themselves out of there. It's leg it. If there's no tannoy system, they don't know the police are on their way, or a key guardian are on their way. So they've probably got 10 or 15 minutes where they can do as much damage or try and nick as much as they can.
Yeah.
Beauty with the monitoring is it's instant.
Yeah. It's
as they're on that site. So my advice, if it's from a security point of view, get a decent barrier gate that obviously access control. We've worked very closely with a company called Bearbox, and to be fair, their access control systems are as good as anything else I've seen on the market. And again, you know, that's just my own opinion. But it's worth investing in that. So decent fencing, palisade fencing around the outside, just, you know, again to add that extra protection.
Yeah.
And then the CCTV with the monitoring, and there you're good to go.
For those two items to work, so let's say even if they didn't go ahead with the monitoring, but they put the infrastructure in initially, but even just for the CCTV to work as a standalone, would you need Wi-Fi?
Yes,
internet?
Yeah, you would do. You'd need. There's various different options available to them.
Yeah.
You've got multi-SIM routers.
Okay.
You've also got Starlink.
Yeah.
So I know a number of operators now are
Mr.
using
Musk.
Starlink. Yes. But make sure you go for the domestic package. Don't go for the business one.
Oh right.
Yeah. So there are options available, or obviously you've got good old BT if you want to perhaps hang around.
If you've got a hardwired sort of option.
Yeah, you might have to wait a while for them. They're not the quickest.
And in terms of the kit that's on site, so the actual like where all that is centrally held, so is it a router? I don't know what you would call it really.
Yeah.
Like the
So
device that they're all connected.
Yeah, so you've got your router, you'd have your CCTV recorder, you'd have your access control box.
And what sort of size would all of that kit come to? Like if you had to find a corner somewhere for that to go?
There's certain sites have put them into one of, you know, the big green kind of cabinets you see on the side of the road.
Yeah.
That BT use.
Yeah.
Similar sort of thing to that. You can put it in that. Or you might just have, say, a 10-foot container.
Yeah.
Just a little container that you've got power in. You can keep other bits and bobs in it. That's if you like yours, that you don't rent out. Keep that to one side and have that as your designated kind of office.
Okay.
So that would, you know, from that, and obviously to make sure that the cameras cover that particular, and we'll send a notification if anybody tries to get into that.
Yes,
and you can still, like, if you don't want the monitoring, you can still have it on your phone.
Yeah.
Personally, so it'll send you notifications.
So you monitor it yourself, basically.
Yeah, but then you're getting woken up at 2:30 in the
Yeah.
morning because a spider's just crawled across the screen.
And as I say, if you're very sensitive to that as well, it's going to be difficult to get to sleep, isn't it? Okay, and so existing businesses, new businesses we've covered. So just wider industry considerations. We're nearly wrapping up now. So just wider industry considerations in terms of insurance. Does having CCTV affect that at all?
Not to any kind of great extent. I mean,
If you didn't have it, would it affect it?
not really, but
Okay.
it would affect you if somebody chucked in a claim against you. We did, I'll never forget, we did an install for a company in the West Mids, and we'd literally only completed it that week before. And I got a phone call, Adrian, is this particular area covered? And it's like, yes, it is. Right, okay, we've had an incident, a serious incident. We need to see if it's captured it. So I got the idea, I got the time off him, dialed in remotely off my own phone, found a clip that they were talking about, and within 15 minutes of that phone call, I was able to cut that clip, send it via email to the managing director, the main health and safety officer, the guy who was in charge of that particular site area. And basically what had happened is another contractor had put ladders against the wall. You could see they weren't set right. The young lad then wasn't footed, wasn't on a rubber mat. The young lad's gone up the ladder and it's literally gone straight from underneath him. Smashed his pelvis, broke his arm. He was off work for about 7 months. Now, if that CCTV camera hadn't been there, and we weren't able to prove, and wasn't able to prove the fact it was the contractor's negligence and the fact he hadn't followed RAMS and health and safety protocol, then that company would have been looking probably in excess of a minimum a 6-figure, maybe 7-figure payout. But that's what it saved them. So the cost of the CCTV that they've got a lot of cameras on that site. I think there's about 140-ish cameras on that site. That's covered their cost.
So in terms of insurance, it's not just a case of intruders, theft. There's all these other considerations as well that, it's really valuable to have that. The other thing which seems to come up sometimes when CCTV and monitoring in particular is discussed is GDPR. So for anyone who's not familiar with that, that's the data protection law surrounding people's privacy. So
yeah, I mean, what we do as part of the package is we'll always ask if a company's got invariably they'll have a health and safety policy, they'll probably have a waste policy, environmental policy. A lot of companies don't have a CCTV policy. So what we're able to do is we're actually able to provide them with a CCTV policy template, which they can then put their own letterhead in on and adapt to their own particular environment. We'll also recommend obviously registering with ICO, which is about 45 quid a year. Yeah. It's not a lot of money, so they cover themselves that way. We also on installs put in signage, warning signage, so that anybody coming onto the site will see the fact that CCTV is in operation, and so from that perspective, our customers are covered under any of the GDPR regulations.
Okay. Now that's good to know, because I think, like anything that is sort of very, I suppose it's like it's a niche bit of legislation, really, isn't it? That will have particular implications in regards to CCTV, and you will be very familiar with how to sort of navigate that.
And there's various rules and regulations that we will kind of pass on, where cameras can and can't be. We also we do get asked for audio from time to time. There's one thing, being able to see people. Yeah. I think spying in on their conversations is a whole different ball game. Yeah. And I feel quite awkward when being asked for that, and in most cases we try and stay clear of it. You know, at the end of the day, you know, yes, we install CCTV. Yes, to a degree that infringes on people's privacy. It's done for the right reasons, but there has to come a point where you say,
don't really need to
don't
know
really
this.
want to be involved with that.
Yeah.
And if that's what you want, then maybe you should speak to somebody else.
Yeah. Last one then, any changes the industry should expect? Anything you can see coming over the horizon?
Like I said, the new hybrid cameras, I
Yeah.
think that's going to have a massive impact
Okay.
in identification.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from when they're on, obviously identifying them on the site, but it's when they leave. In the past, just to have basically an element of grey clothing on,
Yeah.
compared to being able to actually identify what they're wearing. I think that's going to have a huge effect, considering the extra cost is minimal.
Yeah.
So that's definitely coming through. And I think, I know one of my contacts, somebody that you know as well, she put a post on LinkedIn last week, basically saying how busy the self-storage industry is. And I echo that. This industry at the moment it's so busy.
Yeah.
It's so buoyant. So many different people getting involved, both experienced and, you know, unexperienced, where it's that they're just testing it for the first time. And what's great about this industry, and I love it, is the fact that everybody else, even competitors, help each other out.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they'll, you know, just before coming in for this meeting today, phone call from a guy that had been recommended us from Dom at Box Store, from Ant at DSOC, and we've had that a lot recently, where Charlotte S. Jones or where else? Lewis up at Cleveland, Sarah Manning, Mariana, all different companies who we've done, you know, who don't have to recommend us, but are happy to do so.
Yeah.
And in the same way, you know, we try and help people as best we can who are completely new to the industry. And I say, well, look, you need to speak to these, or you need to speak to them. They'll help you with this. So as an industry, I think the growth perspective for it, I would say is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's a great industry for us to be involved with. And the other thing is, at the moment, we seem to be the only kind of, again, it's in my own opinion, I have to always say that, but based on what I've seen, it doesn't seem like there's another CCTV company that is involved with this with the self-storage industry in the way that we are.
Yeah.
Have the same experience that we've been able to build up within the industry that we have. So for us, you know, that puts us in a really good position that, you know, when somebody does want to protect their premises or their containers or whatever, we can use our experience to help them save money, have the right system put in, and for them to be looked after properly, long term, not short term.
Exciting times then.
Yeah, for everybody. And it's like, for instance, for people like yourself as well, you know, I really appreciate you inviting me in today. But we've, you know, it's been good where we've worked and collaborated together over the last, 8-9 months.
Yeah.
Where I've been, you know, you've been good enough to send people my way, and vice versa, where, you know, when we get asked about a new operator, what you offer them, in the fact that from a marketing point of view, from an awareness point of view, what you're able to do for them is, so whilst I know you've invited me in to find out about, obviously, and promote us, likewise, it's great for me to see how you guys are growing as well, and the onboarding that you've had.
No, I appreciate it. And I think, like, we always just boil it down to the fact that, you know, we treat people as people first, and we just want to work with people that you know, we trust, that we feel that, you know, we can just have a human conversation with, like this. You know, we know that it's going to be more than just, you know, the bottom line. It's actually those relationships and building that trust. And it's always a pleasure to talk shop and to just talk business in general as well yourself. And
but you can count on us to keep throwing people your way.
No, that's
and recommending
appreciate it. Well, as a new and growing business, it's not without its challenges in that respect, but we are doing something that's quite unique. In the industry, and it's being well received, and we'll just continue pushing on.
Yeah.
So,
and that
really
foothold you've gained, I can see it's becoming a firmer and firmer foothold. More and more people are standing up and saying, "Hang on a minute, who are these guys?"
Yeah.
And let's get involved. And well, okay, let's try perhaps one site first. Let's see let's monitor it. Let's see where it goes. Have we got an increase in traffic from that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, if it's worked for that site, well, let's try it with this site then. Especially when it's a new one.
That's it. I think. You've got nothing to lose really by being on explorers.com. It's free to list your site.
It doesn't cost you anything until you actually get an order.
No, that's it. And it's just more visibility as well, and eyes on you, and it's an opportunity for storage operators and for us at this early stage to really engage in dialogue and get that feedback while we're building the business, because then we can build the business. We always have done from day one, spoken to storage operators and sort of tried to understand where the concerns are, where the opportunities might lie, and really sort of build something that is serving them. So and that's something we'll always continue.
Well, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? If it's not costing you anything and you're getting extra visibility, hang on a minute.
It's been quoted, yeah. You heard it here. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, but if you're getting the visibility, and until somebody actually buys from you, I mean, do you know what? I wish I had a source like that, a funnel like that.
Well, I mean, the best sort of quote I had from someone, and I wish I'd just sort of captured it at the time, from a storage operator, was, it is a no-brainer, because actually the cost per acquisition on average would be cheaper than a Google paid ads, and there's no risk, because if we don't get the customer, then we're not going to be paying you either. So
I mean, as a company, we use all different forms of marketing, and I monitor very closely the return on that investment, and everything that comes, if you like, every lead, every appointment that comes through to me invariably has cost us either from out of our marketing budget, at the website budget, or whatever, unless of course it's a recommendation. But the majority of work that comes into us, we've had to pay for that marketing to bring it in.
Yeah.
So, hang on a minute. We're going to put you on a website where people can find you, and then when they find you, they can then call you, and you can then perhaps get a sale from them. But until you get that sale from them, there's no charge. No, I don't want to do that. Why on earth would I want my name all over the website, all over the web?
I know. Well, I mean, they don't even have to call them, because the difference with Explorers, and that's what makes it quite unique. Sorry, this is turning into this is what Explorers does kind of conversation. So feel free to pause the video if you want at this point. But yeah, the thing is, it's when the customer makes a reservation on Explorers, they actually committing to that reservation, so they're choosing a move-in date. They're not saying, I want a quote, or I want a quote from a few different storage operators. They've looked at your listing, they've evaluated that yes, you're the right fit for them. We've done everything we can, we've worked with you to help you promote your facility as best you can. We've done everything we can to showcase your facility in its best light, and the customers had all that, and they've made the decision that these are the guys we want to go with, we're confident, and we want to move in on this date, and here's the reservation. So for all intent purposes, it's a reservation that you then just need to.
And the great thing is, as well,
confirm ID.
We've just had 4 days off for a bank holiday. They could have been doing that over a bank holiday when nobody's actually working.
Exactly.
So you could have been sipping margaritas by the poolside, and somebody's just now booked to move into your storage containers.
We get bookings, early hours of the morning and whatnot, and it's going to become obviously more so. That side of it, the consumer side of it, and our brand awareness on the consumer side of it is the part now that we will really be focusing on pushing, and obviously the supply side, so the storage operators listing on the platform, that's had to really sort of grow first, but that's gaining momentum now. So
But, I mean, I always think of, I mean, it's something we always watch in our house at Christmas, is The World's Strongest Man.
Oh yeah.
And invariably you've got the truck pull.
Yeah.
And you see right at the very beginning just how much effort and how hard it is for them to get that truck moving.
Yeah.
But once it's moving and those wheels start, gaining momentum, it's like they're flying across the finish line. And for me personally, I've been able to kind of, since my involvement initially with Jackie, and then obviously with yourself, I've almost had a ringside seat to see how Explorage is kind of getting that momentum going and how you're growing. And it's great. And like we've said before, the fact you're literally up the road was just mad. It's like, how does that happen?
We keep joking that we're going to have like a North Wales self-storage summit or something. We'll do
that'd
something
be cool,
fun and exciting somewhere. Maybe in the summer when
as long as it doesn't involve climbing or going down a zip line. But
a beach party maybe.
No, that's more
that's
like
up your street.
But so to be able to witness and see how you're growing and what you're giving to the operators, that extra facility, that extra kind of marketing or extra funnel on a sales point of view, and gradually the word's getting around. It's like, oh, so-and-so did it. Oh, if they're doing it, we better do it. And are they getting anything from it? And again, self-storage industry, the word spreads.
No, that's it. And I think, even just as a brand that we're not geographically tied, obviously, and we're able to do marketing, PR, etc., that talks about just generally self-storage and actually raising the awareness of that, raising customer understanding of that. I think that's a good thing anyway, whether you're listed on Explorage or not, because the more consumers know about self-storage and understand it and know how to access it, the better it's going to be.
Dean Booty did, I don't know whether you watch any of his podcasts, but he did one recently which highlighted the difference between self-storage in the UK compared to self-storage in Australia and then self-storage in the US. And in the UK at the minute, we've not even scratched the surface. No. The marketplace for self-storage is huge.
I think I saw some statistics that there's something like 0.8 square foot. It's under a square foot of self-storage per head of person in the UK. Yeah. Whereas in the US, there's I think 6 square foot, or
I think it's 9. I think, isn't it? Something like that. I think it's 10 times.
Person. Yeah. The UK is 8 times more densely populated than in the US. So there's plenty of scope there, but we could talk about that all day. Yeah. Anyway,
people
need to wrap up. Yeah. They're going to be dialing out. So, how do people contact you?
Dead easy. They can either get me on LinkedIn. There's only one Adrian Standerwick on LinkedIn, to my knowledge, unless somebody's trying to pretend to be me. You can get us on our website. There's a contact page there, which is, as I said before, it's www.active-cctv.co.uk. And I said LinkedIn, said the website. So
all your contact details are there.
Yeah, everything's there that anybody could want.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Nice to see you again.
Enjoyed it. Yeah. We'll see you again soon.
Yeah. Cheers. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.